California? What's going on, friends? Logan Myerz here for Cinephellas.com, back doing a retro review. I haven't done one of these in a while. In the last podcast, Henry and I were talking about old movies that we loved, and I brought up the movie The Wizard. And, talking about that, I was flipping through HBO the other night and realized The Wizard is on HBO Go, so I had to rewatch it. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I remember watching this on VHS, renting it, watching it over and over and over again because all the cool, Nintendo technology and video games back then, the Power Glove, it was a big deal in 1989 when this film came out. The Power Glove was very revolutionary, if you think in 2019, 2020 with like VR and things like that. The original gangster back in the day was Nintendo with their Power Glove. I'd always wanted one, but we were too poor. So tonight I'm going to be talking about The Wizard from 1985, starring Fred Savage, Christian Slater, Jenny Lewis, and Beau Bridges. The film is directed by Tom Holland, and the setup of the film is you have the Woods family, you have Corey, played by Fred Savage, his young brother Jimmy, and you have his older brother Nick, played by Christian Slater. Things aren't good with their family. Their family basically split after this traumatic event that happened. But something's up with young Jimmy. They have to put him in a home because he's kind of like special needs. He had a really traumatic event that we find out about in the movie, what happened to him and why he does the things he does. Corey's like, no, you're not going to put my brother in a home. So he goes and breaks him out. And they embark on this adventure, I guess, across country from Utah to California. That's where they want to go. And throughout the movie, Jimmy always says, California. Right off the bat of the film, you can see there's a lot of bad acting in this movie, and that's not even the kids. It's mostly the adults in the movie, like Beau Bridges and like Christian Slater, and the actor that played a dad in every 80s movie, it felt like back in the day. He was just like terrible. I don't understand why. He was in Christmas Vacation also the same year, a small part, but he was just really bad in The Wizard. Like, the script or the direction is just not good for the adult actors, and they didn't really know what to do with them. There's a lot of stupid conflict with all the adults, but their acting was not good in this movie, and they're all good actors. Just didn't work in this film. So with Corey and Jimmy taking off, embarking on this trip, they're hitchhiking, they're running away from home, they're trying to make it to California. Along the way, they stop at like gas stations and bus stops. And back in the day, they always had like arcade games at these places. Corey notices that Jimmy is really good at video games, like a master at his age. Like, he is so good, like breaking records anytime he plays a video game, and realizes like, hey, maybe Jimmy, this is his calling. Sets up the rest of the film. We're introduced to a very young Jenny Lewis. Jenny Lewis playing Haley. Corey and Jimmy meet up with her, and they all work together to make money because they know how good the kid is, the young kid Jimmy. He's the wizard. He can take on anybody. He can make a lot of money. And more importantly, it'll be better for his health. There's this scene with like three middle-aged guys in like suits, and young Jimmy goes to play him and beats him, wins a shit ton of money. So they had money to get to California, and that's pretty much the rest of the film. In the second act and the third act is them kind of hustling people. Along the way, they meet up with the most cliche douchebag in kids' movies of the 80s. I'm talking about Lucas with the mullet. He had the Power Glove, and he has one of the worst lines in movie history. I love the Power Glove. It's so bad. Boo! Let me put a clip of that up here.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
And there was a non-stop plug for Nintendo in this film with the Power Glove, and introducing Super Mario Bros. 3 that wasn't out yet when this movie came out, which was really interesting. But one of my favorite parts in the film is them talking to Lucas and what a douchebag this guy is. And, they're eventually going to see that guy again. So the whole goal of this movie, the kids find out about this video game championship in Hollywood at Universal Studios. The winner takes home $50,000. And talk about something they really need, Jimmy's family. They don't have a lot of money, so they could see Jimmy's talent, what he's capable of doing, how he's really good at playing video games. Maybe they can make it to this competition and Jimmy can win. And one of the best parts of the film is them actually making it to this competition. I mean, it was balls to the wall, 80s, at Universal Studios. It reminded me like a set you would see at Nickelodeon, essentially like Double Dare or something, where you're walking out and it's very futuristic and like technology and fog machines, and the host of this competition is so coked out and over the top, it's ridiculous. Another key example of bad adult acting. Welcome, kids, to the competition of video games! He's like sweating.
Video Armageddon.
I'm like, oh my God, dude, stop doing cocaine. I know it was the 80s, it was kind of a normal thing back then, but lay off the cocaine, there's too many kids around, all right? And obviously they make it to the competition. Lucas is there and Jimmy, and they have to duke it out to the end. And it's really fantastic because they're playing Super Mario Brothers 3, and it brings me back to playing that video game back in the day. It's really awesome seeing them playing on the big screen, you know? And it was like really intense, and the whole family's there cheering on Jimmy. They're like, come on, you can do it. And I really don't want to spoil that, but you can probably guess who wins the competition. One of the most annoying characters I've seen in a movie in a long time is this private investigator they hire to track down Corey and Jimmy when they're basically running away from home. He's hired on to find them, and he's like the typical pedophile. Like, he's just really creepy. He's just a total asshole. And he bumps heads with Beau Bridges' character throughout the film and Christian Slater. And the actor, whoever played this guy, was just not good in this movie and just really pissed me off. With young Jimmy taking around this lunchbox, we find out it's like some like baby shoes and some pictures, and they're driving home from California back to Utah. And they come across probably one of the coolest places I've ever been to, the dinosaur park in Southern California. And at this point in the movie, it all makes sense why Jimmy was saying California throughout the entire movie, him going to the video competition, but more importantly, them making it to the park, and we find out why it's such a pivotal part of the movie and their family. Jimmy had a twin sister, and she passed away, and the last time the entire family was together was when they were on vacation at this dinosaur park. Really makes sense to the audience why Jimmy is the way he is and what he's been through. A traumatic event, being such a young kid, and his outlet being video games and being super, super good at it. And the dinosaur park in Southern California is a place I always wanted to go after seeing this movie as a kid. You know, seeing this back in early 90s, late 80s. I'm like, I want to go to the dinosaur park, and I actually made it out there in like 2013. When I lived in Las Vegas. It was like a 4-hour drive, so it wasn't that far, but it was really cool to finally see that, and knowing how much I love the Wizard and putting myself in Jimmy and Corey's shoes being there, I felt like I was reliving the Wizard. But overall, I had a really great time with the Wizard from 1989. This is a huge movie for me when I was growing up. I loved watching this movie over and over again with them going to this video game competition, Nintendo, Super Mario Brothers, the Power Glove, everything was just really top-notch technology, and I loved it being a kid in that era and how they displayed it in the movie. And you know, back then you didn't have the marketing that you have now with video games. It's also really cool to revisit this movie so many years later. I'm glad I rewatched this. I still love this. I had a problem with a few characters in the movie. A lot of the adult acting was not good. I thought the kids were really fantastic in this movie. Fred Savage, you had Jenny Lewis, and then you had the young Jimmy, the focal point of the entire movie. I thought they were really great together, had really great chemistry for being young kids. But just watching this movie, it made me remember, you know, living out in the Wild West and all the desert landscapes, and I absolutely love that about The Wizard. So overall, I'm going to give The Wizard from 1989 a 3.5 out of 5 Power Glove hair pieces. Have you guys seen The Wizard? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What did you guys think of that cutting-edge technology back then, the Power Glove? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe. This is Logan Myerz signing out from the Video Game Championship in 1989. Until the next retro movie review. Cheers!